tapping into VIP 805. Of course, Victoria's West Podcast. It's comics, it's sports. It's everything in between. Sports inspiration. I go by the name of the one and only legend, King Von Jr. Of course, it's my pleasure, it's my honor to be part of this podcast with you. My pleasure and my honor to of course, present another episode of this amazing podcast. I thank you very much for those that support what I do, and I'm thankful for those that I hopefully willing to support. And of course, first and foremost, I want to shout out to the one and only, the innovator, the pioneer himself, the one and only Dr. D, for an incredible, amazing, fantastic wrestling dream panel this past week at BlerdCon, of course. You know what I mean? Saying, and of course, like this Hall of Fame panel as well. Of course, it's VIP radio, as I like to call it. Support, rather Victory Radio. You know what I mean? So, wherever I came up with last time, I see Victory Radio, Club 805. Of course, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Podcasts, watching YouTube. Of course, it's live streaming right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@VonWestVirginia. And of course, like I said, all the social media handles are right here at the bottom. And of course, once again, thankful for Dr. D and for the way he assembles. Like seeing the way that he assembles so much amazing, incredible talent, almost like Professor X or something. You know what I mean? So, like, in that regard, and like I said, brought a Hall of Fame panel and Dream panel. Well, shout out to those wrestler girls and jobbeteers for having a dual panel. Of course, like a 4 o'clock session. It was like 5:20ish or whatever. But also especially when it came to the Black wrestling panel, which was like 7 to like 8:20. And all right, so yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I tried to do a little radio thing. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So as far as that, I try to do kind of like a radio type of thing. So that's why the music going the way it did. Like I said, of course, youtube.com/@VonWestVirginia, and of course on iTunes, and of course the Victorious Ones podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Hope you can hear me at this point. But yeah, like I said, as far as like I said, this past weekend I was at BlerdCon here at the High Reach Crystal City over Arlington, and it was an incredible panel, of course, led by hosted by Dr. D, and of course an incredible panel which featured those wrestling girls and jobbeteers, both at the same time, and so as far as that was about like 4 o'clock to like 5:50, I want to say it was. And then of course, after that, we had a little bit of a break. And of course, that was followed by Black wrestling, which was from 7 to 8:20. And so yeah, like I said, so as far as that, like I said, it was a great discussion, you know what I mean? So, and just to have so many people that are very well established in this field, you know what I mean, and give incredible takes, give incredible insight, and just have great discussion. You know what I mean? Like the dialogue, was, like I said, was very well paced, very well balanced, and of course, everything was well within the time frame. But anyway, I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. But yeah, like I said, as far as so like I said, as far as that, I want to say that. All right, we'll make sure I got it in. All right, great. Yeah, so it's like I said, like I said, as far as like I said, as far as the panel, um, like I said, and the thing about it was that the panel was pretty much it was very much an extension of their usual podcast episodes. You know what I mean? And of course, shout out to, like I said, Job Tears, Wilkins, Janelle, Mr. Black, as well as those wrestling girls, Krista B and PR, and what I mean, and just for them to share their journey when it came to wrestling, their journey when it came to being podcasters, and also like I said, just to give their takes and their perspectives on the state of especially when it comes to the state of wrestling, especially predominantly when it comes to Black wrestling, and just in terms of how far we've come and how much further we can go. You know what I mean? And so and how important it is for us to be advocates for for wrestlers that look like us. And it's for us as it's up to us as fans to um to direct our own narrative, to write our own story, and like what I mean. And so and just like to, excuse the expression, to sort of control the narrative in our field, in our aspect, especially when it comes to Bianca Belair, and for people that want to say, like want to typecast her some angry Black woman and stuff like that. And the thing is, it's up to us as fans, to write our own story, and to just fight back against that type of narrative, like because of the fact that if anything, Bianca is not taking any nonsense from anybody. You know what I mean? She's relentless, she's fearless, she's undeniable. You know what I mean? And so she's just taking matters into her own hands, and she's just someone who refuses to to see someone else cut in front of her in the line. And in this case, the one that's cut in front of her in line happens to be Charlotte. You know, and so so if anything, like I said, Bianca's taking her career, her destiny, everything else into her own hands, and she should not be vilified for it. You know what I mean? And so and the thing about it is that nobody would say anything if you had someone like Becky Lynch in the same position, in the same angle. If you had somebody like um, Bailey in the same angle. You know what I mean? If you had anybody else that was in the same scenario, but when it comes to Bianca, for some reason they want to vilify her. But but the thing about it is that that's not the case. That shouldn't even have to be the case. And it's just that like I say, it's more imperative now more than ever that for us to stand behind talent that look like us, talent that that carry so much um, weight on their shoulders. You know what I mean? And so, you know what I mean? What I mean? So, and also the thing about it is that if you say that you support someone, the most important thing is to show it by way of your dollars. You know what I mean? So, that's the best way to show support. By way of your wallet, by way of the money that you spend on the product, by way of the money that the money that you spend when it comes to buying that merchandise, by way of your viewership. Those are the ways that you truly show that you support a particular talent. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is that the reason why some people that people say that the reason why some people that the reason why certain wrestlers who people say they're favorites um, may not be featured as prominently is because um, that particular fan base is not putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to the way that they support them. You know, and so when a wrestler is not drawing, they're not going to get as much TV time. You know, and when you don't have that type of TV time, you're not going to get other opportunities of the doors open, such as title shots, would have things like that. And so more than ever, it's certainly imperative. Like I said, when it comes to the wrestlers that we like, I mean, like and the thing is not just Black, but just in general, period. You know what I mean? So as far as that, you know, and and like I said, and the thing about it is just that it's just that it's like I said, support goes a very, very long way. And and also one of the things that I liked as well when it came to these panels, like I said, these are just some of the talking points that I picked up um, from some of our panels. And another one that I liked was the like I said, was the hip hop and wrestling comparison. And of course that was um, that discussion was carried by Black wrestling because the thing is, before on Twitter, they were having like dialogue, having just like back and forth conversation in terms of comparing wrestlers to rappers, rappers to wrestlers, vice versa. It's pretty much all within sort of like the same type of universe type, sort of thing. And just trying to figure out, like what rapper is a wrestler's equivalent. You know what I mean? And so, long story short, on Black Wrestlers episode on Thursday, we're talking about John Moxley and who would be his hip hop. I don't know if Shay's still watching. What I mean? I don't know if he agrees with me when I'm getting ready to say this. Is that for me? I would say, okay. Yes, sorry about that. You know what I mean? So I don't know, what was going on with my connection just now. But the thing is, for me, um, I would say that uh, Moxley's wrestling, Moxley's hip hop equivalent would be Lupe Fiasco. And so because of the fact that he's one of those guys, reminds you of one of those backpack rappers who change, like who drastically change his gimmick, change his persona and things like that. You know what I mean? And it's just like just but and the thing about it is just that it's like lately it hasn't really been firing on all cylinders, especially with this match he had in New Japan. Like I said, we had those sticks in his head, and the thing, well, rather the thing is like the way that Moxley just relies so much on blood in his matches, and it's just like now it's got to the point where you feel like he's starting to become a caricature of himself, you know, and and the thing is, I give Moxley credit for the way that he carried AEW, especially in the wake of everything dealing with CM Punk's injuries and stuff like that, and with the whole media scrum and all the foolishness and things like that. But at the same time, I think because of the fact that he's so like I said, so codependent on blading in his matches and things like that. Like I said, once again, um, it makes him feel somewhat of a caricature, and so that was that was my analogy, that was my reference, and also like I said, and the thing is, all the different examples that people came up with during the panel were absolutely incredible. Like I said, like I said, in that regard, like I said, comparing, like I said, comparing limited wrestlers to the likes of, to the likes of Nicki Minaj, Doja Cat, Meg, all these different type of people. Also, like when it came to CM Punk and Kanye, and I was like, okay, like certain stuff, does make sense. Or comparing, Cena to like LL Cool J or Chris Jericho to LL and things like that. And like I said, just for the sake of, like I said, for the sake of discussion, especially when it comes to us as wrestling fans, who love hip hop as well. And so it's just like a way for us to have some type of dialogue, something that we can uh, connect with in many different aspects. And the thing about it is that you know um, rappers are no different than wrestlers because rap and wrestling is all about self promotion. You know what I mean? If anything, rappers in their songs are basically cutting promos about themselves. And it's all about like just like about self promotion, but materialism. You know what I mean? Like it's just just a matter of just a matter of calling yourself the best in the world at what you do. What I mean, so on and so forth, and plus, like I said, just like a wrestling, hip hop, has their dance partners, rivalries, storylines, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? So they're pretty much one and the same, basically. And so I think that was the central theme of, like I said, I can't speak for them, but what I've been picking up when it comes to the wrestling and hip hop connection, if you will, is that in so many ways they're pretty much one and the same. You know, um, and it is. And the thing is, when you look carefully, there's so many like common ground um, things when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to hip hop, so on and so forth. And I think it's just like one of those things where, I said, whether you realize or not, so many of us use um, wrestling and hip hop comparisons. You know what I mean? So, so for instance, I've always been curious as to who would be the, like would be the hip hop, would be the wrestling equivalent of Tupac and Biggie. And so for those that are watching, those that that can hear me, if you want to drop your um, answers in the chat, if you will, you know what I mean, like for the, for who you think will be the wrestling equivalents to Tupac and Biggie, just go ahead and let me know. You know what I mean? So like I said, I'm more than open to it. So I was looking at the likes of like Rock and Austin, Brett and Sean, just because of how Biggie and Tupac, have always been so synonymous with each other. You know what I mean? Just forever linked to the hip. You know what I mean? So as far as that, and so as far as that, like I said, like I said, there's so many different ways, so many different. And the thing about it is that I have to continue to remind myself that when it comes to these wrestling conversations and dialogues and things, there's no right or wrong answer. As long as there's some type of like commonality. Now if it's a situation where somebody wants to call Mikey Whipwreck, a goat, Disco Inferno, the goat, and all this, type of stuff. I mean, you can have opinions, but certain opinions look very suspect. That you have to do the side eye, like what you talking about. You know what I mean? Like the thing about it is one thing to have opinions, but at the same time, at least bring up somebody who has some type of merit to be in the conversation first and foremost. You know, but of course, like I said, overall, the discussions were great. They were absolutely incredible. I even heard some comparisons with Shawn Michaels and Drake. You know what I mean? So yeah, so as far as that, I mean, if you want to throw in Undertaker as Jay-Z, that type of thing, I'm all for it. Or Undertaker as LL Cool J. The thing is, like, there's so many different like twists and turns when it comes to these wrestling comparisons with other things, what I mean. You know what I mean. So as far as that, like I said, it's one of those things where it can go in so many. I don't know if you can hear me, but the thing is, with the way they can go in so many different directions, so many different turns. And I know for me, I know for me, like I found my own sort of like wrestling comparisons. So the thing is, even though the wrestling hip hop thing I felt wasn't exactly my strongest point, but because we've been in in convention season, comic book season, BlerdCon, so on and so forth. Going into BlerdCon, of course, for those that follow me on social media, have seen like the posts I've been making, tweets I've been making, whatever about wrestling and comic books. Wrestlers and their comic book counterparts, whether they're heroes or villains. It doesn't matter, just as long as they have some type of counterpart. So for me, I said that John Cena is Superman. I mean, that's self-explanatory in and of itself. Super Cena, someone who is seen as like nearly invincible. You know what I mean? And so he fits, um, that very polished, quote unquote, Boy Scout, type of image of, purity and, um, sort of like a beacon of hope, a symbol of hope, and righteousness and justice and everything like that. Everything that Superman, stands for. Very clean cut, very muscular, um, super strong, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Courageous, powerful, um, determination. You know what I mean? Like I said, just an all around symbol of hope. I feel as though John Cena absolutely fits that mold when it comes to the Superman comparison. Now, the Batman comparison, I was kind of torn between like the Undertaker and Sting. You know, I slightly gave the edge to Taker, even though it could work both ways. Because of the fact that Batman's a vigilante. Um, he's always in the shadows, but his presence is always felt, and everybody else reveres him. And they know that he can beat them up. And so I feel as though the Undertaker is in that in the same aspect, in the same vein, in the sense that he's someone who's very mysterious, lurks in the background, in the shadows, but he's there. He is someone who's a constant. He's someone who's a leader. He's someone who is revered. He's someone who, uh, you know, that you step out of the way for, that you basically go the red carpet for. You know what I mean? And the thing about it, he's revered. He's someone that you know, um, you know, would give you a beat down. You know what I mean? So, and the thing is, like I say, he leads by example. Someone who, basically, sort of like rules with an iron fist. You know what I mean? Like, someone that, like I said, someone that so many people honor. You know what I mean, and hold in very high regard. Now if Taker's at WrestleMania, he's pretty much dark side in that aspect, but whatever. Um, for what wrestler would be Thor? You have somebody that's simply electrifying. And there's only one man that fits that description. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment, The Rock. So, and when I say The Rock, I'm talking about the Attitude Era version of The Rock. It's easy to compare The Rock to Black Adam because that's such a cop out. But even though that movie is bombed tremendous, significantly, so that's why I didn't want to, I said that's why I didn't want to use, I did not want to use the example of The Rock and Black Adam just because of how trash that, because of how trash that movie's been, and so I feel as though, The Rock and Thor would be a much better comparison, much better reference, and much better analogy, So when it comes to the Punisher, there's nobody better than Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the reason why I say that is because they're both anti-heroes. They love skulls. Um, they love to, like I said, they love to beat people up. Kick butt, take names. So as far as that, and like I say, and that's the bottom line. But you know what I mean. So as far as that, like I say, Punisher and Austin, I mean, they're both famous for skulls. So there's no other explanation. Um, so, and also since I mentioned Superman, I'm going to say that the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns is the injustice equivalent of Superman, right? And so, and the thing about it is that he's always, of course, Roman has the Superman punch. He's always, compared to Cena, as he's always seen as the next Cena. And the thing is early, and he was forced, like I said, forcing people's face, like I said, as the next, as the next symbol, as the next Superman, John Cena type of figure. And but at the same time, him as the Tribal Chief is when Superman has gone bloodthirsty and just deviated, to just the dark side, basically. You know what I mean? And just gone ruthless and reckless. And so, Justice Superman, and the thing about it is that actually, funny thing is actually got that example from a guy that I looked at, from a guy that works at GameStop. I had a conversation with, and so when we brought that up, I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I could definitely see parallels with them. And the thing about it was that, as we all know, in the Justice story, in the Injustice story, Superman killed Shazam. Roman beating Sammy and kicking him out the bloodline, and stuff like that. That was his equivalent of Superman killing Shazam. Sammy was the Shazam for the bloodline. So as far as that, when it comes to Cyclops, I said Bret Hart. Because they're both known for wearing shades. They're both, the quintessential leaders. Incredible sharpshooters. Like I said, so as far as that, it's just like, just prototypical, guys that guys that have beliefs that stand for, stand for righteousness and stuff like that. Like, so, just very strong leadership qualities. And so, so that's why I say, that the Cyclops is Bret Hart. And also, the funny thing is, Cyclops has a younger brother named Havoc. Always likes to feud with them. We all know about Bret's brother Owen. Owen is Havoc, so hence that's why I have Bret the Cyclops. Wolverine, you could kind of say Bret as well, because they're both Canadian, the best in the world what they do. But Wolverine, I was kind of looking at Savage, in an aspect like Macho Man, basically. So when it comes to Iron Man, I would say Shawn Michaels. Both are known for having heart, if you will. Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid. Everybody realized that Tony Stark really had a heart. Of course, the Iron Heart, the arc reactor, basically. Both needed to be rebuilt. You know what I mean? Both have had legendary egos, like super duper cool, super popular. Among the very best at what they do. Known for being narcissists, having egos, and also having rebirths. And so after they had rebirths, they had some of the best runs of their career, and had great endings to this. Had incredible endings to their stories. And so I would say that the Bleeding Edge Iron Man was the equivalent of Shawn Michaels in the 2000s. From 2002 up until his retirement in 2010. Like that ruthless aggression, Shawn Michaels. That's pretty much like the bleeding edge version of Iron Man. And Shawn had his huge send off at WrestleMania 26. Iron Man had his send off in Endgame. So, of course, both overcame their demons, overcame their addictions, things like that, right? And when it comes to Captain America, there's nobody better than Kurt Angle. I mean, that's self-explanatory in and of itself. You know what I mean? If anything, it's just like, sorry about that. If anything, I mean, that, that in itself speaks volumes. So, also, when it came to the John Cena being Superman and Roman Reigns being Injustice Superman, Superman is always known. If anything, if there was anybody that'd be Lex Luthor, you could probably say Triple H, because he's a cerebral assassin. When it comes to Doomsday, I would say it's Brock Lesnar. Both are absolute destroyers. And of course, I would say that the wrestling equivalent of Doomsday killing Superman was when Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena at SummerSlam 2014. You know, Lesnar dominating Cena was the equivalent of when Doomsday killed Superman. I mean, you know, that speaks volumes by itself. The Joker these days, I would go with Seth Rollins. You know, someone who is um, maniacal, outlandish. You know, has a signature laugh that he's recognized for. Um, you know, but also dangerous at the same time. So those are some of my wrestling and comic book equivalents. You know, so I've already done part one. I'm still brainstorming when it comes to part two of that. But yeah, I'm just saying this just to create my own dialogue because of the fact that wrestling is so well rounded that you could throw wrestling comparisons with anything and it would stick. And speaking of wrestling and comic books, let me go ahead and throw this up here. New merch podcast. You know, of course, I have new merchandise has been released on victoriousones.bigcartel.com. And as you can see, I'm wearing the official Romans Empire shirt. You know, thanks a lot to, of course, to Jedi Jack Yeti on Instagram. You know, and of course, this is a mashup of of Roman Reigns with, with Wolverine issue number 1 back in 1982. And this shirt is to commemorate Roman as being Universal Champion for over 1,000 days. And so, so as far as that, this Bloodline Saga, Roman's Empire, you know what I mean? And so, of course, Roman with the gold glove instead of the red glove. And so, you know what I mean? So as far as that, like I said, when it comes to 5/25, his birthday, May 2023, when he officially became, when he officially hit 1,000 days as champion. You know, just so many different things that that this design symbolizes. You know, so of course, so of course, it's been absolutely amazing to have. And so, like I said, for those that are they're Chocolate Chief fans themselves, if you want to, just go ahead and head up to the site and pre-order yours. Today. You know what I mean? So like I said, it's an amazing shirt, and you will not be disappointed. So cheap plug right there. You know what I mean? And so now, when it comes to BlerdCon, every year, at least I've been going there since 2021, and each year they step their game up. You know, and I'm constantly amazed by the cosplayers, by the diversity when it comes to cosplayers. It shows that so of course it shows that Black cosplayers know how to put their own spin, their own seasoning, their own spice on cosplay. You know what I mean? And it's just that, like I said, the thing is, when we cosplay, the thing is, like I said, when it comes to Black cosplayers, we know how to take it to a whole nother level, to the nth degree. You know what I mean? I've seen some, and plus, all over my social media, I've posted different cosplays I've seen. I've seen a Black Panther and Deadpool cosplay, which is great. I'm always amazed by the Chun-Li cosplayers. Now I know that this year the theme was about fairies, whatever. You know what I mean? It's a Black Fade or something like that. And and also, like I said, it was a big thing because pre-summer, because the fact that pre-summer was in town this weekend celebrating her birthday and things like that. So there's a lot of number 5 cosplayers. You know what I mean? a lot of cosplayers for a character from what was it, Drawn Together, I believe it was. You know what I mean? So as far as that, um, but like I said, when it comes to cosplay, um, you know, they do not disappoint. You know, and and the thing about it is that I see how this convention continues to grow by leaps and bounds. You know, what I mean? Like the atmosphere is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely amazing. You know, um, I mean, it's just, you know, it's just that. Sorry about that. You know, you know, if anything, like I said, if anything, I'm pretty much going through my phone right now. You know, just looking at the amazing, amazing cosplayers, and of course, like I said, you know, when it comes to the Mortal Kombat cosplayers, like I said, absolutely top notch, incredible. There's a Black Manta cosplayer. There was a guy dressed up as Wolverine from Weapon X. I mean, just A1 to just pretty much A1 basically. There was a Spider Woman costume; she was cool. And the thing is, you know, there was even like I said, even a Pikachu cosplayer. Like, and the thing about it is that she had a yellow dress and Pikachu ears. But like I said, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. You know, like I said, you know, just to have, just to have like even the casual cosplay, was pretty cool. Like I said, there was a Black Panther Deadpool cosplay. Just called him a Panther Pool. You know what I mean? And of course, like the Starfire cosplays never disappoint. Chun Li, Lady Bowser, Mario Brothers, and I gotta give a shout out to my man Uncle Ruckus. That was at BlerdCon. Um, and the thing about it is, of course, I know I know the guy personally, and so that's very on brand for his sense of humor. Man, Nalante, you know what I mean? So as far as that, and and of course, like I said, with him, and of course, with him and his twin brother, Kosh, who cosplayed as the Riddler, from the Batman. You know what I mean? So like I said, that was incredible. And of course, there was a lady that was dressed up as a pimp named Slickback from the Boondocks. You know, it's a pimp named Slickback, just like a Tribe Called Quest. Say the whole thing. You know what I mean? So as far as that, there was also this really cool uh, Captain America cosplayer. He was like a mix up of Captain America mixed with Iron Man. Um, but he had the but let me sorry, but he did have the wings like Falcon, and he had the shield, and so many people stopped him and taking pictures and stuff like that. I mean, like say him and Ruckus to me were the MVPs when it came to BlerdCon costumes. Like the things I definitely gotta say that. I've also seen Miss Frizzle, A1 as well, and there was even a guy like see uh, with with a full Iron Man, like seeing full Iron Man armor from Infinity War. You know, I was like, yeah, I definitely had to take a picture of him. Um, there was also a Lady Charizard. What else? Plenty of Spider Punk cosplayers. You know, and um, at the end of the night, so of course, at the end of the night, I let Wilkins wear my, my nanotech Iron Man gauntlet. And by the way, I did have my own cosplay. It was a casual cosplay as Iron Man from Endgame. So what I did was, I had the Iron Man helmet from Marvel Legends, and also have the other, like I said, the Iron Man gauntlet from Endgame. Like I said, the very gauntlet that he used when he gave the final snap and said, when he said, "I am Iron Man." I said, I have the exact same gauntlet, which was made by Marvel Legends themselves. So it's not like the big, huge, bulky Thanos Infinity War gauntlet, right? And it's not the same gauntlet that the Hulk had when he made his snap, you know. But I said this is like this is the one that like I said, this gauntlet is actually from Iron Man's armor. And so, this is the official Iron Man nanotech gauntlet. It's the very one um, that, like I said, like I said, it's the very same gauntlet where he snatched the stones from Thanos, and the stones ended up coming together on his hand. You know, so as far, like I said, it's the same gauntlet they used when they sent Iron Man and did this. You know, and the thing about it is that the difference between that gauntlet versus the Thanos gauntlet is that um, you actually have, with this one, you actually have to put the stones in place. That's the only difference. Whereas with the Thanos gauntlet, the stones are already welded into the glove already. Like automatically right off the bat. That's the difference. Um, and also, this it fits like an actual glove. Like saying and to the point, like it almost feels like latex material type of thing. But like I said, the difference is that you actually fit your fingers um, into the glove. It's like I said, the thing about it is that like it's the actual glove. Only difference is only thing is that like you have those stones that light up, and of course it runs on batteries. And so but the thing about it is it was absolutely cool. Um, it was very popular. Got a lot of compliments on it, and and of course I made sure to take plenty of pictures. I said many different pictures of many different cosplayers, including myself. You know, um, so as far as that, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed myself at BlerdCon, and the thing is, it's become a summer tradition at this point. Um, every year in July, and the thing is, I like BlerdCon's format of making sure that it's that they always have it take place in July. I feel as though that's the difference between BlerdCon and AwesomeCon. Whereas, like I said, this is just my thing when it comes to it. AwesomeCon is amazing. Don't get me wrong. I make sure, I make sure that you know, make sure within my power that I go every year. But the thing about it is that they don't have a concrete date every year. They don't have a concrete time frame of the year that they hold it. It's either in um, March, which they're about to have next March, from March 8th through the 10th. So that's the next AwesomeCon. Where like I said, whereas this year's AwesomeCon took place, during Juneteenth weekend, right? Whereas last year it was also in June, you know. But before that, in 2021, it was like in August, and of course this was the time, we were still, uh, slowly making the transition through COVID, coming out of COVID, whatever. Um, and like I said, the pandemic just had the timeline just completely out of whack. All right. So, but yeah, but of course, um, yeah, like I said, when it comes to that, um, so it's like, um, in 2019, Awesome Con took place um, during Endgame, and in fact, back in 2019, um, I actually went to Endgame right after Awesome Con, right? And the year before that, it was in late March, early April, somewhere around like an Easter week or something like that. And of course the year before that it was in June, and so it's just like up and down. Pretty much like on average for the most part, it's been in June. But if it's not in June, it's usually like somewhere in March, sometime in the spring, right? Um, but there's no concrete specific time frame that AwesomeCon sets their event every year. Whereas with BlerdCon, it's, as far as I know, it's always been July. They've been very consistent. They've kept that same energy no matter what. You know what I mean? And it just goes to show that just because it's a Black event doesn't mean that it has to have fewer resources, you know. And I think that's one of the things that, um, you know, like I think that's one of the stigmas when it comes to Black events and things like that, is that, you know, is that there's always, you know, this stigma that you know, that because it's Black, it's not as good, it's not going to be as big, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to have, you know, as many resources or the same type of resources, same type of material, and things like that. Um, I put BlerdCon against anybody. I put BlerdCon against any convention, you know, and and it can hold its own weight against anybody, from the awesome cons, you name it. You know what I mean? Um, and BlerdCon is definitely in that conversation to me when it comes to the best um, comic conventions. You know what I mean? So of course you already have San Diego Comic Cons, your New York Comic Cons, Awesome Con, BlerdCon. You know, for me, I would say that's my, excuse me, I would say that's my big four. You know, and then and of course you also have what is it, CatchCon, you know, stuff like that, right? But but the thing about it is that um, BlerdCon finds ways to step their game up, you know, and it's something I'm absolutely like, very proud to see, and I look forward to, you know, to them continuously um, keep, you know, I said, you know, just keeping up the great work. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? So as far as that, you know, so as far as that, like I said, it's constantly um, growing, and it's just like a remarkable event overall in general. And you know, of course, as far, you know, of course, as far as last week, I want to thank my guest, Dr. D. You know, I said from Dr. D's Wrestling Showcase. He's a pioneer. He's an innovator when it comes to wrestling. When it comes to wrestling podcasts, you know what I mean, and just the connections that he's built, and, you know, relationships he has forged, you know, for so many years. And please make sure to listen to the Dr. D episode, from last week. You know, and of course you will not be disappointed. And, and of course another guest of mine, Mike Knox from Perfect Plex Talk Radio and Unpopular Review, as I'm constantly giving them a shout out here, you know, here on the Victorious Ones podcast. You know, and it's so important. So of course, like, it was great to, you know, have dialogue with him, and as we're both like huge Shawn Michaels fans. You know, what I mean, it's pretty much, you know, just talking about all things bloodline, HBK, you name it, whatever. You know, what I mean, and so you know, I mean, like so when it comes to BlerdCon, they delivered, fired on all cylinders when it came to cosplayers, when it came to uh, the panels, you name it. And so like I said, made it continue to have uh, amazing success, incredible success in all that they do. You know what I mean? And made the brand continue to grow, made their gift continue to make room for them in so many different aspects, made more doors open up for even bigger guests to arrive, you know, because, um, you know, they know how to provide excellence. And it's not just, and when I say excellence, it's not, you know, some cliche. You know, like so many times people use Black excellence as just as a cliche, just as a figure of speech, you know, without really knowing what it means, without really knowing um, what it constitutes, without really knowing, um, you know, you know, without like, it almost feel like Black excellence constantly um, attached to sort of like one way of thinking, whatever, this, that, and third. It's just like materialism and stuff like that. But Black excellence, if you will, um, it comes in many different ways and many different forms. And so, so the thing is, BlerdCon definitely lives up to that term of black excellence, you know, black cosplay excellence, right? And so, so I just, so I say that, that I thoroughly enjoyed myself in closing, you know what I mean? And so I always look forward to the wrestling, to the wrestling panels, the dream panels, and one day I look forward to participating in one of those panels myself. I'm just throwing that out there, you know what I mean? But of course, um, as I've said on Twitter, I am absolutely grateful and thankful for the podcasters that I have um, that I've connected within this space, within this medium. Um, just like the aforementioned names that I said earlier, Doc and Knox, you know what I mean? So like Doc and Mike, you know what I mean? So as far as that, of course, like I say, of course, so many people are going to give shout outs to, when it comes to Jobbeteers, Public Enemies, Black Wrestling, those wrestling girls, you name it, you know what I mean? Like, pretty much like brother, really just like brothers and sisters in arms, you know what I mean? Because it's one of the things where it's always important to, to have some kind of like family aspect in this type of community that I have. Definitely defines what it means to, to have common ground, to feel like a family, and I'm absolutely grateful for it. So thank you very much to each and every one of you that, that support what I do, and I support you um, in return, in the long run. And so, you know what I mean? So pretty much like just in closing, those, that's really what I have to say. And so thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great night.